Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Just what you need, not what you don't. How many times have I said that? 90 times? I was going to reduce this to one soda per show. But I decided since there's about 5 or 6 left, I'm mixing two. What I was calling Michael Jackson's favorite drink with a drink by some doctor, which I noticed in a previous show. I got sidetracked. Jeez, already I'm clearing my throat. That in a previous show, I forgot to mention that I was trying to say that it was pharmacists who basically were kind of the first guys to come up with most of what we know today as soft drinks. Yeah. And everybody knows that story about the origins of that other cola. And its original ingredients, allegedly. Yeah, it's another day, so.
Good morning.
Good morning, friends. Today should be an interesting show. It's a flow of consciousness. Of course, if you look at the title card, you will see the great writer, Rod Serling. And I say real life, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, and One Step Beyond. One Step Beyond is a show that a lot of people might not remember. I can't say with great certainty, but they were probably all on different networks. One would think. I don't know, though, for sure. And I'm not going to check. Today's a flow of consciousness. Let's look at the description down below for those of you who don't do that or don't know how to do that. The title of this show is Tony Caravan Live 5/16/21. Imagine, if you will, trying to get that that voice, a flow of consciousness for insomniacs, overthinkers, and people who sense that there's just something wrong with reality. There's a signpost ahead. And no, I'm not trying to imitate Rod Serling. Not at all.
This is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
Well, if it's a nightmare for you, what do you think it is for me? Hey, folks, we're about 5 days away from you officially getting your Doctor of Truth certificate. I know some people have already probably picked them up. I've got mine with some double-sided tape on a harder piece of cardboard. My advice, like I said, though, is to put this in a ginormous frame with a gold trim and post it in your prominently in your home or business office and let people know that you have a Ph.D., a Doctor of Truth. Why not? Why not? I'm going to try to bring this microphone a little bit closer. I haven't seemed to have been getting many anomalies. Now, why is that on that when I clearly had screen mirroring on? Unable to connect to Apple TV. Huh. What's up with that? Looking for Apple TV. The whole part of this show was basically going to be based on this. Let me take this thing out of Weird. Let's try again. Well, these shows never seem to go the way they are planned in the beginning. As always, I guess I knew to call this flow of consciousness. Let's see if we got it now. Are they genuinely actually messing with me today? Genuinely actually messing with me today. It's quite possible. Trust me. Wi-Fi connected, Bluetooth. Do I even need Bluetooth on for this? Let's see. Unable to connect to Apple TV. All right, let's try this. Let's put Bluetooth on. Screen mirroring. It says looking for Apple TV. I guess yesterday, because I did this. So what did they send down something from the cloud to put the kibosh on it? All right. I'm going to restart the machine. Power down.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
It's an excursion into the odd and very, very different.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Into the odd and the very, very different. Different. There's a signpost ahead.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
There's a signpost ahead. Maybe if you didn't hear the original, a flow of consciousness for insomniacs, overthinkers, and people in sense there's just something wrong with reality. There's a signpost ahead. Nah, it's not good enough. So we're going to restart it. Let's see the little Apple thing here. And we'll see if we can get through this. That's what a face looks like at 4:32 a.m. I woke up at 3 something today. But it's 4:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the former United States. It's May 16th. In the calendar year 2021, for those who are watching this show in the distant future. And I guess we might as well give you the rest, the last weekend weather. While we're waiting for this thing to warm up, I got to put my passcode in there. Current temperature outside the studios, I did stick my head out. It's 48 degrees, and that's about it. I have some plantings and some flower boxes outside of my door, my front porch, and they're all still upright. So, according to this, the high today is going to be 64, but cloudy. I was kind of hoping it would be Sunday or Sunday sunny. I mean, isn't that what Sunday is supposed to be? I feel kind of tired, a little run down. But you can see a kind of a redness in my face, and that is a sunburn. And the sides, I have to start going like this or like this when I'm in the sun, so I get this balanced thing. So I can get that look. So it's going to be 46 overnight, a little bit cooler, but the coming week ahead is tomorrow's going to be like 72 and 50 overnight. Tuesday, 79, sunny and 54 overnight. So sunny, and if it means it's going to be like 90 degrees probably in my patio. Wednesday, 81, Thursday, 82. So all those people, all those Gretas that were cringing because there was no spring, are all going to be, we got it with the restart. So let's see what we can do here. We'll take a look at my, well, there's some ice cubes there. Oops. What did I do? You see all those lights? It looks so really good inside the camera lens. I got to look over there. This is you can see some of let's see if you can see the meters moving. Yeah, there. Let's see. See that meter moving with my voice? The meter moving with the voice. That's like the preamp for my microphone, that bluish light. Deeper there is the little mixer board. And this thing here is basically called a composer, which has like a limiter and a gate on it. And yes, these are my ice cubes, which haven't melted yet. The various drinks. No, I'm not drinking a Pabst Blue Ribbon. And these are my sound effects on this computer, which has its own keyboard. And this is me looking at me through infinity. So, I mean, didn't you ever wonder about that concept? It's not showing up really great here, but it's the idea that you can, even in a mirror, it's a mirror within a mirror within a mirror. So my idea wasn't so much to use the camera today, was more so to just like show some of the things that go on and talk about them. Like, I think I've deleted the news app. Yeah, I did. Because I really don't care about that stuff. I told you I'm not political anymore. Just totally gone. No interest. And let's see, my Instagram photos show up on here. And if that, I think Instagram's made for like uprights only. This is a flow of consciousness show, folks. I'm just starting this off with a few tests. Taking you back. This is what the temperature is probably going to look like. See, we got a lot better picture today than we did before. I worked hard at this stuff, Inside my greenhouse, I have a thermometer. And that's me as a Klingon. Which that whenever we do that, we can't help but have to do this. Hey, Scotty. I saw a picture of you as a Klingon, or I saw a picture of me as a Klingon. What do you think? I'm going to take you back. Look at some of the harvest I got, though. This is potatoes I grew in my own yard. Carrots, colored carrots. I mean, the greenery is just out of control. It's not even worth seeing. Virtual Cage, song I highly recommend you listen to. Of course, there's my communicator I just used. A stack of my books that never sold. Picture of my CD, which never sold. Bunch of peppers. Look at those. They're growing in my backyard. I'm hoping this year that I'm going to have a good harvest. And I don't talk about it often, but this is a t-shirt. Game Over t-shirt is just as good as the the other ones. Everything you know is wrong. And of course I get things like sunflowers out there. Things like that. Oh, here we go. This was one of chemtrails I caught in action once a couple of years ago. There's a girl wearing a Tony Caravan shirt. The iconic shirt. Irish drinking songs. Look at this chick pushing my book from a couple of years ago. I wish I can blow it up. This babe is hot. Look. You can't really see the flesh tone of the skin on this girl, but she's got the hottest body in the world. These are cookies. This is how I gained 20 some pounds from making my own cookies and stuff. But anyway, the reason I'm doing this and what this brings up, I don't know if there's anybody really watching this. I think it's just the Google monitor. But I just walk down a lonely street early in the morning. I used to walk to the grocery store used to open at 6 a.m. And I used to walk to the grocery store then. It's my cat. But I guess the main thing is, this is me many years ago with 2. Let's see if this flips. See, why doesn't Instagram allow you to flip it? That's me. And of course, it's me next to. Notice the gun. Next to a Philly cop. Wonder what that girl's doing. She was fun. That's me at some party. Bunch of girls. See, this is way better than a selfie. This is me with a guy named Tommy O'Reilly, owns a bar. We were doing a cover shoot. You can see there's a girl off to the side. This cover was in black and white. There's me. Let's see how big we can get me. Well, he was happy. Me. Yeah. And there's a stack of my surrealistic nightmare books. And this, let's look at this. I don't know if you can do video and video, but if we can, it's one of my security cameras. Yeah, that's like my front porch on night vision. I can see if anybody comes up the door. See how I have the columns like it's the White House. Just keep that over here. I'll plug it in so it doesn't lose its charge. And this is the real surrealistic nightmare book, by the way. This was a pretty good one. I think. My life is a surrealistic nightmare. It's 4 a.m. and I'm awake, which can be expected for two reasons. First, I went to sleep at 8 p.m. to avoid watching the political debates. And second, because the coal trucks began speeding up my street, leaving soot in their wake, en route to the power plant that spews out toxins by the metric ton. This is like while I was still in the moo in the, pro global warming mode. But I'm still against toxins and air pollution. There's no doubt about it. People have to shake off their cognitive dissonance and lives of diversion. Most of us are just a few rent increases and price hikes away from homelessness. But it's hard for some people to imagine. Well, anyway, this was the effect I was trying to get because see, you can see the picture within a picture. Truth about everything. Let me adjust my chair. All right, let's get into the show. I already said good morning.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I'm kind of easing into it. I'm not feeling 100% right now. So, and I don't want to take that out on the audience. And by the way, I'm wearing the Get Up. You don't know what you don't know shirt. Which I've referred to as the most comfortable shirt in the world. It is. It's just real comfortable. It's the cheapest one you could buy too. You can get a hoodie with this on it. But I definitely think we're going to have to.
We'll have to remodulate our signal to match the network's interlink frequency.
Yeah, because and that way, yeah, it's gonna be good.
Why are you telling us this?
This is under people and blogs. Okay. So I hope this caffeine doesn't give me a heart attack. My birthday is coming up next month. And 1, 2, 3. Within the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm trying to lose. I really want to lose like a minimum of 20 pounds. And I think if I don't, I'll be a dead man. You know? It's like this, if I still have it here, yeah.
I'm a dead man if I don't get this out of my head.
If I can get it out.
How?
A cranial drill and a pair of forceps.
You know, if I had the money, I'd go to the Mayo Clinic and have them just cut off about 40 pounds of fat. I mean, that's what I feel like.
Okay.
I'm asleep. I shouldn't have done this show. What's the title again? What are you doing here? Why are you watching this thing? Why are you in my house? A flow of consciousness for insomniacs, overthinkers, and people who sense that there's just something wrong with reality. There's a signpost ahead. And imagine, if you will. So I guess it kind of follows through. If you're up at 4:49 in the morning, you're some kind of insomniac. I mean, unless you just got off a shift and there's absolutely nothing on TV, and you don't want to watch like some kind of network hogwash. I mean, I do have some ideas I want to get into today. I mean, I was thinking about them overnight. Maybe I should have taken a bigger aspirin because, like, I think a pain in the arm means you're having a heart attack. People watching this. So, yeah, this idea that, back in the 50s and the 60s, you had all these shows like The Twilight Zone, right? And it was all that futuristic stuff, too. I mean, Star Trek, the original series, was a 60s show. The Jetsons, that was like a 60s cartoon show. And sci-fi was really big. A lot of people were reading sci-fi books. All the great sci-fi writers, they were all writing back then. And even before that, of course, comic books go way back. And guys like Orwell and stuff like that, they go way, way back. But, it was this idea where people's minds were so open to things that, it's not like anything was possible. I was almost going to say that. But it was like we were willing to explore the unknown, the mysteries. And because we were of that mindset, that it was how the future was born, really. So, so everything from comic books to science fiction to eventually to even, radio shows. I mean, even Orson Welles' ridiculous, version of War of the Worlds and stuff. But I mean, to the Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, and One Step Beyond. I mean, these shows really, they just got it. They just got it right for the time. Like, here's a
Understand the procedure now?
little Twilight Zone thing. And for some reason, this other one just didn't seem to make it into my cut. So I was trying to make it so I didn't have to constantly scroll to find sound bites. But I played this before, so for, if that one viewer is not an algorithm, this is always worth listening to.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah. But, it just like kind of, opened your mind, And without that, if we weren't at that point back then, we'd have never made it to where we are today. And none of the technology we have, So it was, excuse me. So it was like a double-edged sword in a way. I mean, life was simple. In the 50s and the 60s. I've talked about this before. That the post-war WW1, WW2 period of time. It wasn't like it was a period without wars. I mean, obviously the Korean War and Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, of course, didn't escalate till a little bit later in the 60s, but the Korean War was happening. A lot of people forget. I mean, the MASH, when the TV show MASH came out, it was about the Korean War, but really it was their way of like kind of dealing with war or the Vietnam War, but trying to get around it. And even though they dealt with serious topics and stuff like that, it was like that movie with Bill Murray, Stripes. By like trying to be comedic, in effect, they ended up being recruiting films, for people. But be that as it may, I wrote in one of my books about how we've been at war forever, and I don't know which book it is. And since this seems to be a slow start, see if I can find it. I know it was one of like the last, excuse me, it was towards the end of like one of my books. It might have been towards my earliest book, maybe. My first book. First or second. For Insomniacs. I wrote some stupid poems along the way. This is an interesting thing. Austerity to anarchy. When you take away everything a person's got, they have nothing to lose. It was like kind of like Clint Eastwood said something like that once in a movie, I think even. Trust me, this is not a good situation for the oppressed or for the oppressors. Throughout Europe and coming soon to America. Let's see when I wrote this. The date, just to put it in perspective. (2014). Politicians are implementing what they refer to as austerity measures, which basically means that the governments and banks and businesses they support are so much in debt that they're passing on their losses to citizens by raising taxes and reducing public services. Surviving the recession, it's becoming too expensive to live. If you can see that picture. That's a picture of a bunch of coins on a table. Did you ever do that? Were you ever so broke that you basically were like trying to count your coins, put them in money rolls? Before they had those things in supermarkets, that automatically count as your coins. Of course, those things take a commission. It's not in that book. I have so many books that, this goes for somebody who's really goes back. That Susan Summers thing, that was the thing in Philadelphia that I quit college for a year to become the marketing director. And that was like the cover of the magazine, but that's like a promotional piece. And there's an ad for my hotel that I had. There's that picture we just saw in black and white. And down there below, that guy walking towards the counter is the legendary tattoo. He doesn't really realize he's a legend. You're a legend, man. Maybe it's in the truth about everything. Sorry, this is a slow going, but this is for, did I say insomniacs? And I can't find it. The whole idea was that, and it's really not that important, but the idea was that what I did was I researched from the Revolutionary War, the U.S., what supposedly July 4th Independence Day is all about. The freedom from the king system in the UK, Britain, right? I mean, today they make it's like fireworks and some kind of another Memorial Day type of holiday. There's just too many memorials. I always said that it's like, we're too much of we were, because I don't care what anybody says. I noticed I got another email today. One of these. The new slogan is "Save America" from the previous, gang. Not save from them, but they're trying to say "Save America" from the current gang, the previous gang is. But I've written it in one of these books. I mean, so many freaking books I wrote. So many songs nobody listens to. But, we looked back, because it's the former United States. Western civilization has fallen. I mean, it's going to take time to sink into the average person. People don't want to let go. I liken it to a relationship, a marriage, where one person decides it's over and the other person just like hangs on. And it just takes them time till it finally sinks in, unless they're a psychopath. Pardon me. I mean, I've been guilty of that myself, not wanting a relationship to end. And then there's been people that have been in relationships with me that were, the same thing. Now, it's human nature. I mean, if you're a normal, unless you're like some kind of sociopath or something weird like that, a real narcissist type of person. But the average person, if you're a lover, one of those people that believes in love type of thing. You know, you can't just turn it off with a switch. But, you know, love of country, you know, service to country, you know, people who believe in the dream of what America is, those who fought and were injured, you know, or lost brothers in arms. You know, you don't just sit back and turn it off and say, well, Western civilization's fallen, you know, America's over. It's the former United States, and all that stuff we did was for naught. Now we'll just move on and put on our, you know, thing, take the thing in the arm, and keep and get in lockstep and let the totalitarians take over. Well, of course, people aren't going to do that, you know. And then there's other people who just have what's called cognitive dissonance. They just in denial of it. But like in the example I gave with relationship, fact is, sooner or later, you have to come to grips that your, you know, wife, girlfriend, partner, or whatever has moved on, and it's over. And Western civilization has fallen, and this is the former United States. I mean, it's not a matter of them trampling on the Constitution. They've already basically trampled and like dug it into the dirt. I mean, there literally is not free speech in this country. I'm talking to you right now. I don't have free speech. This isn't free speech. I say it all the time. I'm walking on eggshells. The lights just flickered. If the show goes off, that means there could be a power. Could have a power outage. If that happens, that would suck. I mean, I'm prepared for it with my backup stuff, but the show just ends. That's what happened. It was a weird thing. I don't know why there would be a power outage though, because this is like the least amount of power being used because the weather outside is mild, so the heats wouldn't be on. And well, anyway, back to the thing. If it happens, it happens. Excuse me. So you have to come to acceptance of it. I was talking about the trampling of the Constitution and free speech. It's like I'm walking on eggshells. There are things that are literally unspeakable. And if I would speak them, they would basically just delete this video. You know, the whole 3 strikes, you're out. 1 strike, you can't live broadcast. So that the end of live broadcast for like a week or something. You know, I don't know what 2 strikes is. Probably you won't be able to live broadcast at all. 3 strikes, you're out, or something like that. Well, that's not free speech. You know, it's so. What First Amendment? You know, I mean, I've read those out, you know, in various shows. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I don't know which one it was in, if it was in this one or not. Like I say, I've written so many books now that it's starting to become a blur almost. It's the handbook. Where I actually put in, because I realized so few people actually knew the First Amendment. But, if you look at that, it says, Congress shall make no law. Okay. Then it deals with religion, blah, blah, blah. However, prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech. And there's the thing about the press, blah, 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 or the people to peaceably assemble or redress or for redress of grievances to the government. Meaning, like they did last year during the election thing. So, but the key 3 or 4 words is Congress shall make no law. 5 words. Congress shall make no law. So in other words, what they call like Section 230, that like the these people and Twitter and Facebook, they all hide behind, and it's a monopoly. You know how they like destroyed Parler. Anybody who tried to like become a competition, they like just destroyed them. So yeah, it's a surrealistic nightmare, just like my title of my book. My life is a surrealistic nightmare. And like I said, I've gone from like, I was political kind of in a sense. Well, I did. I worked on political campaigns, a couple of them. I've donated to political parties on both sides over the years. Lived and worked in Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill. And, and I like leaned left and then leaned a little bit right. And you're expecting me to say now I'm in the center. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm nothing. Now I no longer believe in politics. I understand it's all a corporatocracy. It's an organized crime syndicate. My new term to try to poke some fun at it, because like you got to strike some humor at it. I mean, it's early in the morning, and this is like in my thing. This show is for a flow of consciousness for insomniacs, overthinkers, and people who sense there's just something wrong with reality. But I talked earlier about comic books. It's like, no, it's the World Crime League. Right? That's what I call the World Economic Forum. Which I'm changing their name officially to the World Crime League. I mean, that's what they are. And our government here, what we call government, and I call a corporatocracy, it's just an organized crime syndicate. I mean, and they've got like a crime boss in the White House now. As I said, I don't want to be political because look, the last administration, as high as everyone elevated it, the true believers, the people who are now pushing Save America. Everything that was done, the swamp didn't get drained, and practically everything that was accomplished was erased with the stroke of a pen. So it wasn't real, things weren't really done. Permanence. I mean, there were a few things that have not been erased. Some positive things for some people. Cleaning up the VA. That was a good thing. And it's unlikely that, it's possible that these guys could mess with that, but I doubt if they will. They created the Space Force, but that's a whole like crazy thing. that I don't want to get into that, and who knows what's going on, right? But apart from that, a couple of other things. With the stroke of a pen, all that stuff ended. And then before that, in the previous administration, it was the same old thing. And it's been a systematic, like step by step by step movement towards this corporatocracy takeover, organized crime syndicate, world crime league, ruler, authoritarian, totalitarian police state. And all the freedoms we thought we had, now we are like walking on eggshells and watching what we say. And people are just accepting it, accepted lockdowns and stuff. People couldn't go to funerals, couldn't have weddings. Longest time people couldn't go to church. People still can't visit their elderly parents and grandparents in most care facilities, despite the way they try to pretend they can't. Even in Florida, my mother's in Florida, and she says that stuff they're saying on TV is a lie because they're not letting people in her building. And she's perfectly lucid. Talking to her on the phone sounds like you're talking to a 40-year-old woman, and she's 87. So, no. And like I said, Congress shall make no law. But Congress has been passing these bills and making these laws that are unconstitutional. See, in other words, when it's an amendment, I'm wheezing a little bit too. I don't know if you can hear that. So people don't understand is that I talked about this before, but it's a flow of consciousness, so we cover all these things. Besides, there's so many things you could talk about. So it's a matter of expounding on what you've talked about in the past sometimes, or clarifying, or rectifying something. But, when you had prohibition, which was an amendment to the Constitution, so people weren't allowed to drink. I mean, you think about how crazy that is. See, we think what's going on now is weird, right? But it's, a lot of weird stuff has gone down in the name of government. It's like we've gone down these paths of government overreach. And, the Fed came into power in the early part of the last century. When basically the U.S. went bankrupt. And then we were, the Federal Reserve took over, which is a private consortium of banks. There's nothing to do with the government or the Treasury Department. And, we ended up with like fiat currency, basically meaning our money meant nothing. But, you also had this prohibition. Imagine this. Now, just think about how ridiculous this is. Now, there's people out there, there's AA stuff and Al-Anon and Narcanon or whatever the heck it is. And I'm sorry, people have weak minds or some kind of biochemical disorder in their brain. They take one beer and I don't know. I mean, I'm not blaming that, but the point of the matter is the idea of saying you can't have a drink. It's like how they banned smoking. And I know because there was this uncle of mine. He wasn't a blood relative. He was married to an aunt of mine, an auntie. And he was one of those guys that, he'd take a beer, a drink, And he'd be like, hey, like he'd lose it. He'd be gone. So he clearly had, like I always said, that I thought, to me, alcoholism was more of a, a disease, of like a chemical, like a chemical disease that I think if they really wanted to, they probably could find a pill for it. There was that movie in like the 80s. I think it was in the 80s with that blonde who was married to, married to Baldwin for a while. I forget what the movie was called. But she had some allergy to alcohol, right? That was like the nature of it. And to me, I think that's how I look at everyone like that. But anyway, that's just a quick aside. Remember, this is a flow of consciousness show. That's why chat's turned off and comments. I don't want to hear anybody saying, hey, you don't understand alcoholism. Yeah, it's a disease. You're allergic to alcohol. They got a pill for everything else. Maybe you should just get a pill. Take this pill before you go out to the bar. Does that sound cold? I don't know. Hey, look, I drink. I gained weight. I drink. Even these sodas are diet sodas, but I think I put on like 20 some pounds. And I can't get rid of it. And I walk every day and I do work out in the yard and stuff. Hopefully, I guess when the weather gets hot, I don't know. So I'm not saying all these things are necessarily good for you. But freedom is freedom. Same with smoking. I used to smoke. I quit smoking. I still do the cigar thing, but maybe I should stop that too. I don't know. For health reasons. But then again, what good's living if you can't enjoy it, But back to the Constitution and the amendments. So they passed this bill called prohibition. And basically it said you can't drink. Right? And the only way that they could get rid of that, we'll say you can drink again, was they had to pass another amendment. That's the way this republic was structured. The Constitution is structured. And so they did, and all those, all that Al Capone, excuse me, Elliot Ness, all those silly movies. Chicago's still out of control, and I think it never recovered from, Capone. It was such a, a hotbed of all that stuff. It never recovered from prohibition. But last year, and in some places still, but they're gradually changing it, but still the restrictions are strong, very restrictive. Last year, they just said they declared prohibition because they said you can't go to bars. Well, it's prohibition. It was unconstitutional. They said you couldn't go to church. Well, that was against the First Amendment. Right? Congress shall make no law. See, they needed, and it's hard to get an amendment to the Constitution. That's why they didn't do it. That's what a lot of these executive orders and stuff. This stuff is so unconstitutional. It's unbelievable. People don't know it. So I say it's the former United States. It's already cemented, gone history. The precedents are there, not the presidents. But the precedents, legal precedents, the courts are all like nonsense. The last president was making all these statements about how many judges were appointed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they were all appointed. They're all political appointees. And that's what judges are. They're just loyal, loyal to the corporatocracy. There's no justice. If there was justice, half the stuff that went on wouldn't have gone on. And half the stuff that's going on wouldn't be going on. Congress shall make no law like abridging the freedom of speech, assembly, or to redress, grievances to the government, to call the government out on something. That's like the first frickin' amendment. And like I said, prohibition was repealed. There's an amendment that says you can drink. It's legal to drink. And there's all kinds of other rights you have. It's called the Bill of Rights, right? The Bill of Rights. So instead, Congress, they have some kind of thing, Section 230, so they're letting these monopoly social media companies violate the First Amendment. And nobody's questioning it. No courts, no judges, no nothing. Oh, you hear some stuff. Who cares if some announcer says something or some politician says something? They didn't do anything. See, that's the point I'm trying to make. Do you understand? That's why I'm not in the middle on politics anymore. I'm not the left or the right. I'm against politics because they're not in control. Because if they were, they wouldn't be just making speeches at rallies, or on TV or at press conferences. See, that's all it is talk, talk, talk on both sides. The two sides of a counterfeit coin, as I say. So what do they really accomplish? And the only things that get accomplished are things that the corporatocracy, right, who's really in charge, the organized crime league, the crime syndicate, right, big tech, big pharma, right? So people just don't get it. And so they're in denial. And the point is, it's okay to, try to get your girlfriend back for a little while, send her some flowers, some candy, and, and stuff like that. But, once she's got a new boyfriend, it's time to walk away. This country's over. This country's married communism, married globalism, and you're trying to like woo it back or something. It's over. Irreconcilable differences, as I always say. It's a divorce. Done. And people, don't want to accept that. And it's understandable. Like I said, I understand. You fight for freedom. You got a bone to pick. You believed in the dream. You grew up. You did everything right. Played by the rules. Respected, respected the law. Respected the Constitution. You watched it, be put through a shredder. Ignored. And justice, you thought there was something called a Department of Justice. You thought that there were courts and judges and federal judges and a Supreme Court. And you found out that those people, they don't care. They're just part of the ruling elite. They live in these beautiful places. have these lavish lifestyles, go to parties. The kids are in the finest schools. It's like it's a breakaway civilization. And I don't care if individually you can say, oh, such and such is a nice person, or they're a good person, or this, that, the other. It's like, yeah, I met some politicians over the years. Like I said, I spent time in Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill. I've been at parties and stuff like that. I worked on some campaigns. I worked on one for a notable guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a nationally known politician. All right. Respected by both parties. He was a nice guy. Of course, he's dead now. So, and most of that era is over. But people don't realize that it's all over when it comes to that. And this is a surrealistic nightmare, It's just, I don't know.
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
So, whoever the viewer was left. This is kind of a weird show, but no weirder than some of the others. I feel a little bit better right now. Kind of scary, wasn't it? Well, it's all about
quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, this is the Rock Flux YouTube channel coming to you live. And I guess I've got enough caffeine in me. I'm awake. And my arm is no longer in heart attack mode. So, yeah, that's that. The next thing I want to do is I want to add reverb. Like they want to check that right now. New window. Actually, let's see if we could talk to never thought of this. Let's try this. Hey Siri, is it possible to add reverb to a Behringer mixer?
I found this on the web.
Let's see. Behringer XR mixer, adding reverb using an FX mix. That's what I want to do. I want to have a little reverb on my voice. I was hoping I could have done it with this composer thing, but this was something I had sitting around. And this is like digital. I don't want anything digital. How about this one? Let's do this. Siri, what's the meaning of infinity?
The state or quality of being infinite. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
The state or quality of being infinite.
Here's what I found.
Siri and Alexa. You know. Microsoft has one too. I forget the name of that one. So you could get anything you want delivered to your house now. I use this thing called Instacart. I can click on it here, but it'd probably bring up all kinds of like, the heck? You know, like login stuff. You could watch it on the screen here. Instacart, it's called. I don't know if you can see this, but like red grapes, save time and shop items you've ordered before. I mean, it's insane. No thanks, continue to store. And they've got you so cookied into this that like they didn't even, you know, yes, I want free order on my order, you know. But like you can see on the thing there, you know, pretty much so. It's like whatever you want, you can get now. Let's look at the stock market. I haven't looked at the stocks in a while. Dow Jones, 34,382. 34,000. Do you know in the 90s, the stock market was like at 5,000? Apple stock was only $10. Imagine that. High fuel prices and shortages hitting trucking industry as nation critically needs gasoline and goods transported. We were energy efficient, self-sufficient like a year ago. Right? A Bitcoin battle of billionaires ensues. Jack Dorsey faces off with Musk on green merits of world's #1 crypto. ExxonMobil Corp stock outperforms market. Of course it does. When the price of fuels go up, they make a ton of money. Well, I think Apple stock was split, but it's like 127. I remember when it was $10. But then it go up to like 600 at some point, and then they did some kind of weird split thing or something. It's crazy. Oh, I didn't want to do that. No, that's okay. It's a picture of my cat. We'll keep broadcasting. Wow. If I do this, it's just kind of neat having that there. I like it. I don't know if it's going to burn out this phone. It's an old phone. I don't have any self-service with it. I just use it for Wi-Fi. Use it for photos, take movies with it, do my garden updates, you know, and check email. And I use the Wi-Fi if I'm outside somewhere because I have a Wi-Fi phone. $40 a year I pay for phone service. Magic Jack. So yeah, there is no constitution anymore. I mean, not in a grand scale. Not as far as country. Imagine someone going to war at this point. Like what would be the justification of a general to tell someone, what are you doing? What's your purpose? Why are you sacrificing your life right now? Right? For freedom? What freedom? I just explained. They violated the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So we have no freedom. And what we call freedom is walking on eggshells. If you say wrong speak, you are banished. And you can't go anywhere. I mean, to this day, no matter they're opening up in some areas or not, pardon me, you still, you'll lose your job if you say the wrong thing. Right? So free speech is gone. I mean, that was the most important thing. Right? Freedom of assembly? The idea to speak your mind, op-ed, disagree with the government. And the judges just are basically say, well, we're not going to take that case. So that it's not even a matter of you can't even have your day in court anymore. That's insanity. So, and it's like, so save America. Save America. Once something goes, it goes. That's the thing people have to understand. We have this red state, blue state thing. It's like in order to get a constitutional amendment, it goes like to the states. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it. Like I say, I'm not even into politics anymore. I just bring it up because of the absurdity of still getting these emails and the way people think and talk about this stuff. They're obsessed with, it's just live your life. Find something to do. If you have something to do, that's great. I don't really, I don't have a whole heck of a lot to do outside of gardening, hanging out in the sun. I mean, I like to, I used to literally enjoy going to bars, listening to music, or bands, and, doing that kind of social stuff. But it's not the same as it used to be. And it's been changed for a long time. It's not even just recently in the past year or so with this plague, whatever that nonsense is. I was publishing dining and entertainment guides for a while, and I was doing DJs. I was trying to do DJ happy hours. The last city I lived in. And, it was people just, the only people that would be out early would be like day drunks or something like that, It's like people came out at night at like 10 o'clock. Bars open till 2. People would come out at 10 or 11. I'd be like, I'm going to bed by that time. Or I want to be home, It's like my new book. It's a man out of time. I haven't written it yet. I mean, I'm putting it together. That's what these shows are really all about. these are just an exploration of my, a flow of consciousness, because my book's going to be a flow of consciousness. And it's going, and these things are just me exploring ideas that I could deal with. Yeah, it's funny. Like, even these books where I was like, I leaned left, still had some great quotes in it. It's like, I guess I was more centrist if you really think about it. Because, there's the Fourth Amendment, for example, I put in there. I listed the whole Constitution in this particular book. They pretty much violate the Fourth Amendment, too. This might have been the one that I had. I listed all the wars. So, yeah. We'll just give you a little bit of this one. Bombs away. In 17 wars, if everyone demanded peace instead of another television set, then there'd be peace. John Lennon. All right. This is something that the average person doesn't know. And I don't even think I have everything listed here, but I did the research. In 1776, a group of colonists declared independence from England, which sparked a revolutionary war that lasted until 1783. Some 20 years later, the new United States of America and Great Britain were at it again in what has become known as the War of 1812 to 1815. During that entire time, there were battles fought in Canada as well as what are now the southern and western territories of the U.S. Elsewhere, on land and sea, there were battles with France, Morocco, Algiers, and of course the Native Americans. Subsequently, the First and Second Seminole Wars for Florida ended in 1842, and the Mexican-American War, 1846-1848. During and after those wars, there were other wars such as the Apache Wars, Third Seminole War, Navajo Wars, and Utah Wars. In 1861, war between the states or Civil War began, which lasted until 1865. What followed were numerous wars with Native Americans leading up to the Spanish-American War in 1898. In the early 1900s, there was the Philippine-American War, Boxer Rebellion, occupation of Nicaragua, Mexican Revolution, occupation of Haiti, occupation of the Dominican Republic, all leading up to World War I, 1917 to 1918. A decade later, the United States stock market crashed and the Great Depression nearly tore the U.S. apart again. In 1941, World War II began, 1941 to 45, and ended with the dropping of 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. The Cold War started a couple years later and continued through 1991. During that time was the Korean War, or conflict, Bay of Pigs invasion, the Vietnam War, invasion of Grenada, Gulf of Sidra incident, and invasion of Panama, to name just a few. In 1990, there was the first Gulf War, followed by the Bosnian and Kosovo wars. The wars in the Middle East began in 2001 and continued to this day, as of this writing, as does Operation Enduring Freedom or the War on Terrorism. And at the bottom in real bold, it says, basically, the United States has more or less been at war or involved in wars since its beginning. I wonder if they teach that to kids. Get it, the girl. The glamorization, bombs away. It's crazy. But the thing is, we're not talking about revolutionary war. We're not talking about, wars today are basically, like Eisenhower said, it's the military industrial complex, right? Wherever that is. No idea.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. This evening, in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Wars today are the corporatocracy. It's a military-industrial complex. The cost of some bombs, it's like $1 million. The cost of weaponry is so out of control. So their money's for profit. And the soldiers are over there thinking they're fighting for freedom with their brothers in arms and come back without any arms, and there's no freedom here. It's messed up, man. It's really messed up. And that's why most people are in denial about this whole thing. Excuse me. Polite culture. I'm drinking a carbonated beverage at 5:52 a.m. The sun's starting to rise. Sunrise is like 6:08 or something like that here. So 6:03, I don't know, something like that. 10 or 15 minutes away from now. I feel fine. I'm awake now. That first 15 minutes was weird. I was really out of it. But yeah, for insomniacs, people who want to watch this stuff live, a show like this isn't necessarily something you want to refer to in the afternoon. Unless you just want to see a flow of consciousness. I think I said some profound things here, that aren't being talked about anywhere else. But I want to get back into the title card, where I had Rod Serling and talked about the Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, One Step Beyond, and sci-fi. It's that when you had, the reason that stuff was so prevalent. Excuse me. Old age. Even an immortal deals with these things. Was because of our freedom. The freedom to think, the freedom to speak, the freedom of ideas and to present your ideas out there, and the willingness of the broadcast media and the print media and the publishing houses to literally, allow people to explore ideas or to criticize or to come up with, fiction that, was commenting on reality, real life. You might say, well, you're publishing books and stuff like that. No, I'm self-publishing books. Yeah, you could buy this on Amazon. I wish you would buy my latest book, Codex, right there. Codex, Tony Caravan's Codex. And the new book I'm going to write this year, buy it. Buy 5 copies of it, for crying out loud. Buy the print version and give them out to friends. Get my CDs and all that stuff. I don't know. Buy this shirt. You don't know what you don't know. Or that's a shirt up there hanging. Everything you know is wrong. Or go to Great Solar Stuff and get some of this power stuff. People don't do it. I don't make money on these things because I'm not monetized on this YouTube channel. I just do this stuff. Who even knows why anymore? As I'm laying in bed at 3 something, the cat's like on the bed. I don't know why the cat wants to get up. The cat's here anymore. Yeah, it is. Let's see. We'll take a picture of the cat. Not a picture, but we'll put the camera on so you can see full screen. So what I'm going to do is I have to take the headphones off. I'm going to give you a quick little tour of the cat. What do you think? You want to be on TV? I put these calendars, I always have 3 months at a time on my wall. There's my iconic thing. Here's what it looks like outside. The last time I did this, it was dark. Yeah, I know. I guess I better close this door. Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully you saw all that outside. They replaced the sewer. They're doing this infrastructure project. It's a cat fur in my thing. That's all I need. So I got my sidewalk replaced for free. And I showed you those planters because I planted little flowers in my boxes. That's my porch. It's the neighborhood I live in. My rent, mortgage, and insurance. I didn't even get a notification that I'm on YouTube. Like, I don't know why. Like that I'm live. And it's not in my junk thing either. So I'm assuming that this whole broadcast is live. Better be. I've been on for an hour and a half. But I like doing that. So yeah, I showed you my bar in the next room, the kitchen, the cat, you know, the outside world. I could show you the backyard. I don't know how far it would reach. That'd be an interesting thing though. My Wi-Fi doesn't really go that far. It starts to get weird, as you get further back. And I do have a video on that's available. In fact, let's see if it's available here. Sometimes they don't allow you to play videos on videos. Okay, so that would be the video. Let's see. It seems to be trying to play. No, this video is playing on the TV using AirPlay. Oh, okay, it is. So what you're seeing, this is my backyard right now. And those are my new tomato plants that I put in the ground. It's in slow-mo. And you can see, I've already have this up, but for somebody tuning in who doesn't look at those other videos. And you can see I have lettuce, red lettuce plants, green lettuce. And just look at all this crazy growth. Those are beans and peas. You can watch this full screen if you go to my YouTube channel, Rockflux. And this is all just wild. It's not wild, but I mean stuff from last year. It's oregano and carrot or onions. This is neat though. I mean, I'm enjoying this. We'll do more of this stuff. That's my little mini greenhouse we're looking inside of. And there's my cat hanging out by me. That's my little chair. We'll get a better view of that in a couple of minutes. And these are my pepper plants. And hopefully, if it's a good season, these things will all be huge. And I should be getting all kinds of jalapeno peppers, banana peppers. I'm going back here for the picture. Looks really great here live. My cat's name is Cooper Black. He's named after a type font. This is one of these wet wipes. Since I was touching all that stuff. It's not like I'm a super clean freak, but I petted the cat, and I still want to put an ice cube in my drink. There you go. Ooh, that's weird. Yeah, so you can see those are all the peppers. It's all slow-mo. Just like clean everything up here, if you don't mind. And see, that's where I sit. That's like I tell you, you take a vacation in your own backyard. That's my lounge chair. Looks really good over here. But you can see it. You know, hopefully you have a big screen. I mean, these people that watch, you know, YouTube and play games on a smartphone, to me is like, I don't know. I mean, if you're waiting for some appointment somewhere, I could understand it, right? All right, you're bored, so you're looking at it. One time I took a bus ride somewhere when phones first came out, and it was like, okay, yeah, I watched some weird TV series. That's my greenhouse. I built that thing. But yeah, I just sit on that lounge chair when it's sunny. And in there's my little workshop. See, that's detached from my house. That goes back. That's back like 100 some feet. I have a long, thin lawn. And then here's some more plants. You know, show and tell. Tony Caravan Live, you know. I mean, this is what it is. It's what it's all about for insomniacs.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
We got audio, video of me, and a video of that all playing at the same time. It took me a long time to set all this stuff up. And I've got this automatic, you know, this reserved power packs, you know, lighting things up. The on-air light should be really bright, like on Monday's show. I'm expecting to get some LEDs. That's all lettuce that survived the frost. Yeah. I'm growing everything, man. I'm growing everything. These are all herbs. Parsley, sage, cilantro. Yeah, I put a couple tomato plants in there the other day. I was growing basil there. And I have to make a note of that right now, actually. Plant basil. Plant basil and chard plus other stuff. I really don't have any room to do that because my main garden space is taken up, but I don't know. Maybe I just have to get the shovel. But, you know, you could see it's kind of you're just getting a little view, but this is my world. And it's important to say this, to show this. Those are kale plants there. Is that, you know, you can live, like I say, my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, this house that I bought. I've been here for like 5 or 6 years now. I only have like a 15-year mortgage on it. So I'm almost halfway paid off. But my monthly mortgage, taxes, and insurance, there's carrots in there in that area that are just starting to come up, is like less than $200 a month. You can't even rent a place for, like, that's like a fraction of what most people pay rent for. And I got this great yard. These are radishes. I've already eaten them. They're great. They're already like coming up. Same with the lettuce and stuff. Kale's ready. And beyond them are some potato plants. That's my hose, my watering hose. And I guess and here's where it just speeds up and ends. And that's my apple tree right there that I ate. I ate that apple. That took like 7% down, like of my battery power. But I mean, that was pretty cool, right? So I'm digging this, and I've got a few other tweaks I want to make here. And whether or not you're into this or not, I think eventually I'll develop an audience. Even if it's like years later when people want to figure out, or 6 months from now when the fit hits the shan and people want to know, well, how did all this happen? Well, a guy,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
The only station that matters.
He had it all figured out. He was telling us about this a year ago. He was warning about this kind of stuff.
This is Metropolitan Police speaking. Metropolitan Police speaking. All persons are warned to stay off the streets. All persons are warned to stay off the streets.
I mean, that's what they want, really. I mean, that's what we had. And I think I was alluding to it a little bit earlier, that idea that 25% of the people haven't left their house in over a year. Except for like brief trips, like going to the doctor's or some kind of weird appointment or something. I mean, it's lost. I have those cards somewhere back here. I hadn't calculated the 25% of the people that hadn't left their houses. But we've got 20 million on unemployment that aren't going to come back to work. That's going to be 50 million within 6 to 18 months. 45 million people retired. 75 million under the age of 17. 60 million people on welfare. It's the former United States, folks. It's the former United States. Western civilization is gone. Like I say, they're cementing it. Is Save America. People donating their hard-earned money. You should be doing what I did. You should be like putting money into building raised beds and having a garden in your backyard, or if that's not your thing, at least like building a deck or having a patio so you could like just live free within your captivity, like I say, or scale down, to a point where you can, just basically almost retire. Or if you're young, just like live somewhere just on basically a gig economy type of thing. It's the only way to beat these people, because this corporatocracy, man, they're narcissistic sociopaths / psychopaths. And you can't reverse things. It's like I talked about with prohibition. You need an amendment to change the amendment, but now they're not paying attention to amendments. So the Bill of Rights means nothing to them. The courts aren't standing up. There's no ACLU out there, right? They're not like, they don't care. They all work for this organized crime league, right? Or syndicate. It's just corruption beyond corruption. It's complete and utter madness. So you just got to take care of you and yours, your own, you take care of your health. That's what I'm going to start doing because I've been ignoring my health. Like I said, I've gained weight. Maybe I got to rethink these cigar smoking, beer drinking sessions. I mean, I don't want to stop, because it is a pleasure I have. It's like life without pleasure. Life is an experience. I always say life's about experience. People are confused about the meaning of life. I always say, you have these five senses. And so it's pretty obvious what the meaning of life is, the purpose of life is to experience. Otherwise, like I said, you'd be an earthworm or something. You wouldn't have eyes, ears, a mouth, nose, and skin and ears. So, it's the best is to immerse yourself as best as possible within that, experiential existence and not to be caught up with artificial experience, putting on these VR headsets or living in the virtual world. One could say, I'm within this screen, right? But at least I'm talking to you and showing you things real, and it's straight talk, honest talk, And like I say, this is under people and blogs. I don't list this under politics or under other kinds of things. So this is my life. This is, like the girl says.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And, that's it. And so I don't know. I like it. I watch it. I watch it every day. I haven't missed a single one of my shows. I watched a playback. And, the only regrets I've had have been like technological problems. Because the idea of, because this is pure honesty, it's unedited. It is what it is. So even like the beginning of the show, when I was half awake, it was the insomnia part. It's still reality, it's reality TV, not like fake reality TV that was scripted and, and they, casted and has producers and a team behind it. It's like, my team, is this, the camera. The only reason I have that UK stuff over there is that's my like futon. The cat likes to hang out over there. That's an old painting. That's an oil painting by a guy I used to hang out with in New York. I went to school with him. I don't know what happened to him. This is a poster of the Yingling Brewery in Pottsville. And that's a close-up of my book, Codex. And the spam, I have to like make sure that it looks clearer in here. You can't read Codex on the screen, but the quality of the camera on here is really exceptional. That just took out another 2%. Well, anyway, so I don't know. As bad as things are, It could always be worse. You know, and there's been times, you know, and I don't think they teach this in school, that, you know, in other parts of the world where people are really, you know, looking over their shoulder, worried about being, you know, bashed over the head or chopped with a machete, thrown in prisons, right? So in that respect, you know, at least so far, you know, we've got, you know, we've got that freedom, you know, and there's this consumer freedom as long as you have some kind of income where you could get anything you want delivered to your door. But, you know, there's a lot of things going on as far as the planet is concerned. And I don't mean climate change, because that's like a, you know, that there's, you know, that's all a game, what they're talking about. And I've bounced back and forth on that until I did the research. But we have more problems with our magnetic field of the earth and what's going on with the sun right now. And, you know, we may be looking down the barrel of what's called a micronova, which is a near extinction event. It could prove to be a dud. It could prove to be like a powerful CME type of thing where maybe the grid goes down, which would probably freak a lot of people out because there would be no internet, you know, or cell phone service. And it would probably take quite a long time to get the grid back up. And in a just-in-time inventory and people who are dependent upon, you know, electricity and electronic media, so to speak, you know, it'd be very disorienting and perhaps, not even perhaps, would definitely cause panic, widespread panic. So, you know, we have that possibility. It's a distinct possibility that something like that could occur anytime between now and the next decade or so. And there are serious minds, serious scientists, and serious papers, peer-reviewed papers being written about this kind of stuff, books published. You know, it's not like I'm not trying to fear-monger you. It's an interest of mine and something that I've been looking into for a while now. And I'll probably deal with it in my book that'll come out this year. I'll start working on this flow of consciousness book, but I'm hoping that, you know, there's about 5 more videos till we reach what I call the 100th video, where I've, you know, already saying, hey, you know, you get your doctorate to, you become a doctor of truth by having put up with this many of these things. And I'm hoping my mind, you know, when I get into the writing of this flow of consciousness, whether I start this summer or wait till the fall, I'm not sure. But I will, you know, I'll definitely be dealing with some of those topics in it. And so this helps me it just helps me work out ideas. And I don't know, and hopefully it opens up like your brain, you know, and then goes beyond your brain, your bioelectric brain, into your consciousness and makes you aware, just more aware of the reality, excuse me, that we live in, which goes back to this idea of this 50s, 60s sci-fi era, you know, of Twilight Zone and Outer Limits and One Step Beyond, and even the serious science fiction writers who, you know, basically, you know, you have to call them Arthur C. Clarke and guys like that, Ray Bradbury, even Gene Roddenberry, you know, these were serious, right? Philip K. Dick. I mean, the list goes on, and even the comic book writers. You know, when I say comic books, I mean like the, you know, Marvel and DC comics. Like I always say, you know, a great loss we had in the past last year was, you know, the passing of Stan Lee. But I mean, they dealt with such, you know, these issues that were, you know, out there to a lot of people, you know, like way out. But really, you know, they were you know, dealing with humanity and life. And you don't see that, you know, today, you know, if you look at the domination of, you know, this so-called social justice type of programming, you know, movies and series and stuff on Netflix. And it's one of the reasons I do this, because I actually I can go upstairs. You know, it's 6:26 a.m. What can I do at 6:26 a.m.? Like I say, the grocery store used to open at 6, doesn't even open at 6 anymore. You know, everybody's shortening their hours. There's nothing to do. I cut the cord to TV. I don't watch TV. You know, it's all nonsense. So I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to watch the playback of this video. And at that point, it'll be a couple hours later and the world will start waking up and I'll be able to, you know, map out my day and decide what I'm going to do this Sunday. It looks like I said, when I was looking at the weather, and I'm doing that right now. Well, actually, I could probably bring it up here and share it with you. Let's look. Give away my location. It's saying it's raining. And it looks like it's going to be raining pretty much the whole day. And going to be like semi-cool. It's like the high is going to be 62 or 63, which occurs around 3 o'clock this afternoon. So, you know, that's that. I'll charge this thing. Turn that off. That's my cat. I have to turn off mirroring. I forgot. Stop mirroring. Turn off that. That's the old version of Apple TV. The hockey puck thing. I'll turn this off and let that charge. I say, I hope I don't burn the thing out because I'm not going to buy another smartphone. I have an Android phone that I got for free because I live below the poverty line intentionally. You know, all these things I acquired are just things I've had. And of course, last year, like I've got this, instead, I'm sure a lot of people squandered all that money they gave, you know, the stimulus money. But instead, I bought this like $35 NOAA radio, solar chargeable. I bought that Jackery thing. You know, I sell them on, it's available, like links on Great Solar Stuff. But I bought that. That's what's turning the on-air light on, which will be much brighter when I get LEDs. It's just dim now because it's got like a night light in there. So I do all this stuff. You know, the things I have, these computers and all this stuff is just stuff I've had over the years. And that's how I was able to retire. And I bought this house, and it's so cheap, less than $200. I grow my own food. I had a couple of operations. I had a cancer operation and stuff like that. So I wasn't about to work anymore. It's not like I'm on disability or anything. But I just basically retired, and I'm just living life. Doing the morning show. Waiting for the end of the world. Sharing stuff. You know, I've written 50 songs and be 10 books. You know, and all my travels and all my experiences and things. You know, it's just what I do. It's like I say, it's people and blogs. That's what this is categorized under. If it's interesting, you know, subscribe and like, as they say. If not, you know, don't bother. But I'm sure there'll be some more interesting things coming up. You know, I mean, there's been some classic shows. Like I said, we're approaching 100 consecutive live shows. That means for the past, you know, for 100 days straight, no days off. There's been a show every morning that's been close to, you know, 2 hours. This one's run over 2 hours. Some were closer to an hour and a half. But I mean, lately they've been like 2 hours. And before that, I had at least 100 some videos, various different videos. And I used to do the edited ones where I'd produce some like shows and stuff, but they're just too, you know, it's just, it would take like 6 hours a day. And, you know, at this time of year, especially, I'm not going to waste my entire day, you know, downloading, uploading, downloading, editing, all this crap you have to do. I mean, this is great. I just took you on I'm curious to see the playback. But I mean, you get, you know, able to go mobile live out my porch and stuff. So it's interesting. It's fun. I won't share this on as many social media platforms as I usually do. Because like the beginning was kind of funky. I was just half out of it. Getting up that early. It's weird. So anyway, this has definitely been
it's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
That was without a doubt. So I'm going to good morning. Say good morning, because for the average person, it's your morning, 6:30. People shouldn't even be on a Sunday. You shouldn't even be getting up. The average person should be in bed with somebody, you know. But it's me and my cat doing a live broadcast. Anyway, cheers. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. I hopefully get that LED light, because I want that light to be brighter. But I think there was something about it might be delayed. That happens more and more now when I order things too, I notice. Supposed to get that Amazon second day free delivery, but it's like I get these delays like all the time. Anyway, have a great day. Think about what I said. Live as free as you can. Quality of life. Don't just survive, thrive. You know, that's the most important thing. You've got these senses, live life to full experience. It's the most important thing, really. It's what it's all about. Cheers. Take care.